Throughout the history of cinema, Hollywood has managed to produce some of the most amazing films we've ever seen. However, sometimes the best directors who have made these films have ended up making one terrible film along the way. I'm Sam Davis here for Hits Radio, and I'm going to talk about good directors making bad films. Every now and then, directors who have good film track records can make bad films. Today I'm going to be talking about those directors who have made one bad film out of their long catalogue of great films. Before I go into talking about those films and those directors, I want to talk about the temptation that directors have when money is being presented in front of them. Money is a huge factor when it comes to filmmaking, especially for directors who are in need of that money. If a director is offered a large sum of money, they'll most likely usually take it if they're in need of that money. And for a lot of directors, they will take the money even if it means that they'll make a film that is nowhere near as up to standard as their previous films. With that said, let's talk about North by Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner had an amazing track record of films from the late 80s. He made a massive hit in Stand By Me and made many other classics that were a hit among audiences. However, when it came to 1994's North, he hit a huge iceberg. The film North was a critical and commercial bomb, and it was offensive and annoying to watch for many people. At the time, renowned critic Siskel and Ebert called it first-class junk and said it was the worst movie they had ever seen or reviewed on their show.
It's junk. First-class junk.
It's a movie that makes me cringe even when I'm sitting here thinking about it.
It's embarrassing. You feel unclean as you're sitting there.
I hated this movie as much as any movie we've ever reviewed in the 19 years we've been doing this show.
Rob Reiner definitely hit a major iceberg when he made this film. The reason why I was so interested to talk about this topic was because of the recent bomb by Alexander Payne, Downsizing. This film was a critical and commercial bomb as well, as it was so poorly acted, so poorly written, very poorly directed obviously, and the message was just bizarre. The film had no coherent story, it didn't have any narrative flow whatsoever, and was a giant bore to watch. I myself paid $20 to go and see this at the drive-thru with my friends and wanted every single cent of that money back after seeing it.
American people, 8 kind of love, hate, sex only, break up, make up, drunk, buddy, pity.
Okay, I have no idea where you heard that.
Third host family.
Okay, that is just wrong. Okay, there's a whole spectrum of emotions and motivations. And don't say it's vulgar. Say something else, like, make love or I don't know.
Payne directed the critically acclaimed film The Descendants in 2011, but when it came to 2017's Downsizing, Payne hit a major fork in his career. This was a critical and commercial bomb, and in my opinion, it's one of the worst movies ever made. To finish up on another notable example of a bomb by an amazing director is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Steven Spielberg is widely regarded by many as one of the greatest, if not the greatest directors of all time, but in 2008, alongside George Lucas, he made one of the biggest stinkers ever in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This movie hit all the wrong notes.
You're not from around here, are you?
Where is it you would imagine I am from, Dr. Jones?
Well, the way you're sinking your teeth into those W's, I should think maybe Eastern Ukraine.
Highest marks.
However, to be fair, this was not the first big mistake by Spielberg, as he has made films such as the other Indiana Jones flop, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So it does beg the question, what is it that makes these directors go nuts all of a sudden and make a terrible film? Are they running out of ideas and trying to produce a movie as quick as possible? Or are they just trying to make as much money as possible? Or some would believe, like in the case of George Lucas, they might need more assistance to make a good film. The point is, if you're planning on being a film director, don't just make heaps of good films and then decide to one day sell out. Keep going and try and make as many good films as possible. My personal favorite director is Frank Darabont, who is known for doing Stephen King adaptations of his books. Darabont has directed films such as The Green Mile, The Shawshank Redemption, and even directed the Walking Dead episodes throughout the series. He's my favorite director because he's never really hit a foot wrong in his career. He's made very few films and they've all been successes. So at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure what makes a good director decide to do a bad film all of a sudden. It's probably money, it's probably running out of money, but who knows why they would just throw away their whole career of a long list of amazing films just to make a stinker. The only advice that should be given to new filmmakers is try and make as many good films as possible, and when they stumble across something bad, don't go for it, even if it does mean making a lot of money. Quality should always go over income. This has been Sam Davis for Hits Radio, and thanks very much for listening to this special report.